Now, this class isn't a class on Ableton. It's not an Ableton Live class. It's a production. It's a music production class. So essentially, what we're doing is we're introducing Ableton. Why? Because Ableton is popping up everywhere, all over the place. It's becoming more popular and more popular and more popular. And I'll tell you what, I've walked into being, back in the normal studio days when you could freelance, when there were a lot of studios around. It's coming back a little bit, a little more high end, which is good, but the studios are still around, and some smaller ones are popping up. But you would work at different studios, and one time I would get a call at 8:30 in the morning. Hey, we're doing a documentary today for PBS, and we need you to come in and do a surround mix. Can you do that? I'm like, sure. Boom. What's how many hours do you think you're going to need? They tell me. I tell them my rate. We agree, and I go. So I show up. I walk in. They're giving me the rundown of what's going on, and I sit down and I'm looking at Final Cut Pro, or let's see, what was another one? Adobe Audition for sure. Uh, Cubase. I mean, what's the big Cubase? I forgot what the big Cubase is called. So they do all the film scoring and all that stuff with. Nuendo, that's what it's called. So I'd walk in and there's a completely different DAW, a completely different mixer, a completely different this or that I've never seen this before. So I had to adapt. I couldn't be like, oh, I don't know how to use that. I gotta go. You gotta figure it out. I gotta be like, oh man, I've never used this before. I would tell them, I would be honest, and I would say, but I can figure it. I think I can figure it out. And that's what we're gonna do this month. That's the kind of gumption that we're gonna need. And it's not like you guys are gonna be you know, tested on Ableton Live skills or anything like that. But what I'm wanting to hear is, like I was explaining earlier, I'm going to give you guys essentially what the record label wants, what the video production company wants, and then what the marketing company wants. And it's going to be up to you guys to take that vision and then use your creativity. What's going to make that song you? What signature are you going to put on that? That's like the type of passion I'm hoping to get out of you guys this month, because we're going to be making music. We're practicing to make music that can hopefully make us money in the future. I'll go into a little bit about myself. I don't want to go too long, just this Ableton screen up here. I'll open something. But I started off not in traditional music, not reading music. I didn't get a formal music education until almost pretty much my adult life. I started off wanting to make beats and DJing. I bought some turntables and picked up an MPC once I joined the Army. I had some money for one. And, and I started from there. I started sampling records, and that helped me appreciate music more. I mean, in the long run, at first I didn't, for the first few years, I didn't really realize it, but I knew, like, when I was searching for records, I would look on the back of the record and you'd see the artists, all the different musicians, and all the instruments that they would play, what studio they were in, who was the mastering engineer, who was the mix engineer. And you'd get to know who these musicians were, or you'd start to look for their names anyway, or for what studio, or for which guy mastered it, because like they had a good sound or a good tone on the overall record. So I started thinking about it, and I'd say, man, that's a really cool like song. I never thought I would listen to this song by, I don't know, let's say the Birds or something, a group. And so I would just end up like looking for samples, but end up like just listening to the song. Say, man, that was kind of a cool song. And I remember the first time it really, really hit me. I was in the Army or something, and I had a little portable record player, and I put on a Steve Miller record, and I was trying to sample the beginning of that song, Fly Like an Eagle, and I was trying to pitch it down and do a bunch of weird stuff with it. But anyway, I just kind of let the record play, and I just laid there and listened to it and listened to it. And I said, man, that is an amazing, just like piece of music. There wasn't a genre to it. It was sort of soulful in some areas, kind of rockish in some areas, pop in some areas, country in some areas. It was all over the map, but it was a solid album. Somehow they pieced it all together. And that started making me think, like, well, how do they make these songs so different? They sound so different. what makes this song sound this way and James Brown band sound this way? Why does country sound this way and the blues is similar but it's this way? And I started realizing kind of in duh, it's the chords that they're playing, man. you know so I remember going to a little music store and picking up a chord book, and because my dad had a little guitar, and I would kind of start trying to figure out chords, and I'd say, man, I can play my own chords. I don't have to sample these chords. I don't have to go dig for records and sample these chords anymore. So I started just thinking, well, I just want to learn scales, and I'll just play scales on top of stuff that I make that I've sampled. But anyway, the passion just kept growing and growing, and the more I kept learning about musicians, I should say, the more I got passionate about music, and the more and more my music was kind of changing from. I started off making like '90s hip hop, and I was a battle DJ. So I was all into that kind of world, and kind of slightly shifting over. I'm still into that scene and everything, but most of my music kind of shifted a little bit from that. And of course, as I grow, I hope that it grows a little more mature anyway. But just having a passion for music, and putting that passion into action, you know. I'm not a millionaire, I'm not, whatever, but I'm happy. A lot of people listen to my music. I get to teach a lot of awesome people like you that are going to go out and do amazing things with this future. What were you using to get nice scales and chords back then? Ha 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 ha. Well, Frank, I would look for records that had a lot of like jazz records, mostly, Frank. I would scoop up old jazz records, guys like Jim Hall, um, uh, Oscar Peterson, a lot of those, and I would find any kind of open chord I could find and sample it and try to make it sound good. Of course, I had the effects card in my little MPC, so I could add a little delay and reverb to it to kind of stretch it out a little bit. But I would sample those because I found out Jay Dilla was sampling stuff like that for A Tribe Called Quest, like way back before anybody even knew who Jay Dilla was. So, you know, all of us, this passion, that we have for music, it kind of, well, I mean, we're here, right? It's the whole Full Sail story. It overtakes our lives, right? So we have to keep that passion going. We have to keep that passion alive to get to our dreams, right? You guys are about midway through, I think, at this point, right? And I get a lot of really good music coming through here, and I'll tell you, I'm really impressed by a lot of the stuff that I hear from students, and that's good. And I want to help keep moving you guys in the right direction. So of course I'm here to help as much as I can. And let's start talking about the project a little bit. How about that? Because I can ramble on all night, and I've never had a crowd this big before. Man, I love this class. You guys are awesome. You guys are a really awesome class. I haven't had this many students show up to a meeting in years. This is amazing. I'm sweating over here. I'm nervous. Usually it's like two people. You guys are cool. All right, so let me share another screen with you. Maybe I closed it. I closed it on accident. My bad. Sorry, technical difficulty here. To find another assignment, and I'll find one that's already graded. Okay. Sorry about that. Firefox. Oh, can you guys see my Firefox right now? Can you guys, or whatever this is? Ah, man, okay. See, I keep trying to switch screens over and over again. Okay, cool. I'm sorry, guys. My bad. Yes, quick question. Go for it. Picture on here and everything. All right. You can type out your question, and I'm gonna get going. That's cool. You're not taking too much time or anything. I'm nervous with all y'all here. I'm just kidding. Um, let's see. So this week I want you guys to take it easy. Not to like not do it. Hold on. I hope we're gonna get. Heck no, I'm erasing this one, man. Nobody can ever hear this one again. I'm just kidding. I'll probably send it out, but you can't use it against me in any way. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'll send it out. And also as well, there is a built-in archive each week, starting in week 2. Because week 1 really doesn't need one, but week 2 there's a built-in archive within the class. So if you can't make the meeting, and for whatever reason, sometimes people post personal questions, stuff like that. So I don't want to post their personal business. You know what I mean? Kind of feel funny doing that sometimes. If somebody does, write something more personal or whatever. So it all depends on that. But most likely, I'll send you this one, and then I'll probably edit it up to about this point, and then yeah, you guys can go from there. All right. Cool. So this week we're gonna have some fun. All right. So you're gonna go download some loops from this website called thepadpushers.com. So among many things that I do is I do sample packs. I sell sample packs all over the place. Just under my name, Eric Jackson. I make music just under my name, Eric Jackson. Let me see what else I do. I got a radio show in Ibiza, Spain. I might be ending that one though soon because it's taking up too much time. I've been doing it for about 5 years, but I got a radio show out there. I DJ it. What else? Been doing sound for film for quite a while, although that's slowed down. And I have a production company with my wife that she also teaches at Full Sail. She works in the graphic design department over there. And so yeah, we're always working. We're always working. We love it. And then we get to share information with you guys. So it's cool. It's like we're kind of dipping our hands in the work stream and a little bit in the education stream a little bit. So it's pretty cool. It's the best. It's like the best of both worlds. So, you know, she designs your sample bag. She does the artwork for them a lot of the times. Yeah, she'll do the artwork for them. Yep. And for my album covers, and I have a record label as well. She does all the artwork for that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're definitely very lucky. We're definitely very lucky. So on to the assignment. So we're gonna go to this padpushers.com, and I didn't mean to say that to like try to say the way I sounded kind of funny. Just thinking back, I was saying that because everything that I'm showing you guys, I'm doing like professionally, and not that I'm a genius at it or I'm the best in the world at it or anything like that, but I'm doing it, and that's what it takes, right? So, you know, it's a nice check, you know, it's a nice check, and it's a cool thing to like figure out what people need to help them finish their projects. And it's cool when they'll hit me up on like Twitter or Instagram or something like that, and they'll say, "Oh, this is how I flipped this or whatever. Or this is what I did with your sample pack," and just beautiful music, So it's really inspiring. Yeah, you're right, Troy. It is. It's inspiring for me as well. And so we're going to check out this Pad Pusher site. You can go there, and you're just going to use this code Full Sail CPT at checkout. You can just copy that and go in there and download this Beat Suite analog artistry. And you can get this Emotional Oscillators one. That one's still free. Beat Suite is kind of like a instrumental hip hop pack almost. Where we went with that was I was using a Fender Rhodes, my buddies. I can't remember I think it was a 78. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was a 78. But we got access to that and a nice drum kit. And then I sampled the drum kit and layered the drums and then made some more loops on the MPC. Got some bass from Analog Synths, very Jay Dilla-ish style. So that one's pretty cool. Analog artistry is mostly it actually is. It's all analog synthesis. Most of it all comes from Moog and Dave Smith synthesizers. So a little more electronic, but kind of down-tempo electronic stuff. And the Emotional Oscillators pack is just, you can do whatever you want with that. It's a synthy kind of pack as well. But go check out that page, and you don't have to get anything else or anything like that. It's just a cool spot to host these things, which typically cost money, these two, but for you guys getting a hookup. So you guys can have some cool sounds to start off with. And if you have your own sample packs, you know, not like your own that you made personally, but that's great as well. Or if you have some that you've purchased, you can use those as well. Just try to avoid using like those construction kit ones if you can. You know, a lot of times I know because I work with a lot of the companies, and two, it's just like, hey, you didn't make a song actually. Can you really make one so I can grade it? You know, it's kind of an embarrassing conversation. So yeah, so don't do that. So yeah, check that out. There's never any issues with this, and if there ever is, I can just quickly have them send you these packs, or I think I have links for them as well, straight to their page. So check that out. Next, you're gonna watch this video. Next, watch this video. This is essentially the built-in archive for this week. The next few weeks, there's an actual assignment called archive, and it's gonna be in there. But this video is gonna walk you guys through every single thing, pretty much. And I don't wanna go into the video just yet. I'm gonna run through these, and then I wanna go into Ableton and see if you guys have some questions for a few minutes. So watch this video. And I'm gonna tell you, the video is a little long. All right, the video is a little long, and I'm remaking it now. I'm trying to make it shorter, but it's a lot of info. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do it in sections. So forgive me for the lengthiness of the video. Let me think as well. I mean, Ableton's colors and things like that have changed through time. Every kind of update, they have a different scheme. So if the color is a little different on there, it's still the same thing. It's just a small visual update or something like that. It's not a big deal. So, okay, we don't want any clipping on the master track. All right, that should be a rule by now, right? And we're gonna implement at least 3 of the loops up here provided, because I want you to use them. I want to see what you can do with them. All right, and use at least one Ableton instrument. So that's going to be one MIDI instrument that you have to use. Your song must be loops, meaning like a sound, like a drum break, Frank. Like you know, everybody used to sample the old James Brown drums. Yeah, just like that. That's a loop. So it's just essentially a sound you can drag in and just keep it playing if you want, or you can cut it and it picks right back up on time. Very, very easy, like manageable audio files. Very manageable audio files. So implement a couple of those. Yep, bass patterns as well. Bass patterns, drum patterns. That's a good way to put it. Thank you, Frank. Yeah, patterns, different patterns, and they're good to replay. They'll replay over and over again without any error. Song must be 2 minutes in length, up to 2 minutes. I should put. I don't care if it's 2 minutes and 1 second or something like that. I don't care if it's 8 minutes really, but I get people trying to send me 57-second beats, you know, 57-second, like little, they call it a song. And I'm like, you know, no, please, what are you doing? So I try to like motivate them, you know, but so your song must have structure. Now, what's this mean? Structure. That's a big word, structure. And all I'm talking about, I'm not talking about, you got to explain A, B, you know, all these different types of things. I'm just wanting your song to have an intro, some type of verse or two, a chorus, and an actual ending. So that means the song just doesn't pick up, loop for 2 minutes, and then cut off, right? There's actual sequencing going on in there, right? So that should be obvious as well, especially since we're all passionate and gung-ho. So we're gonna take a screenshot. That's just Shift Command 4. Take a screenshot of your session, all right? Not that window, unless you're people always send me screenshots of this window. And I get suspicious, you know, because I'm like, well, why do you want to show me this one? But you're using Logic. That's what it is now. But yeah, send me a picture. Just not so. Only the reason I want a picture is if I hear a problem, because most of the problems that I hear, to be honest, are things that are out of key. Right, a song's supposed to be in A minor, but somebody's doing something different over it, and it's just, I can hear it immediately. But if I can look at what you're doing, a lot of times I can pick it out and say, oh, it's your pad or your, you know, bass or something like that. I don't use Logic at all. I don't use Logic at all. I'm one of the like Logic despisers pretty much. And I respect it, but it's not it doesn't vibe with me. And I was one of the first guys in Florida. I was one of the first, what would they call it? certified instructors of Logic in Florida. I was one of the first ones. Like they wanted me to take the test, and I was just like, I guess I'll take it. I don't know. And it was a hard test, but somehow I passed it. And but why not? Somebody asked me who asked me why. Oh, how come? Frank asked me how come. A couple other people were agreeing, but really, I came from I came from MPC world, more hardware. The first piece of software I saw was something called Cool Edit. I can go through this story another day. We'll be here all night. And but I got this one called Acid. I think Sony owns it now. And I started using that, and I liked it a lot. And then I went into Pro Tools, and then from Pro Tools, I tried to get into Logic so bad. Yeah, Cool Edit and Acid. Yeah, that was my first stuff. Cool Edit. Yep. Yeah, Cool Edit too. Yeah, Cool Edit's amazing. Do you like Pro Tools along with this? I do like Pro Tools. I like Pro Tools a lot. I worked in Pro Tools for many, many, many years. So Pro Tools and I definitely use Pro Tools if like I'm doing stuff for film, a lot of like dialogue, like yeah, different stuff like that. Pro Tools is really powerful for stuff like that. For Logic, for me, I think I know a lot of the new updates have been great. And if I wasn't so heavily into Ableton already, I would probably swing right into Logic, because you know, one thing I do like to do in Logic is I like to mix in Logic. Yeah, the editor in Logic is what gets me. And I'm glad Dana said it. Because every time I say it, people get mad at me. But I don't like editing audio. I don't like editing anything in Logic at all. I don't know, you know. But yeah, but you know, it's to each their own, right? And you know, I've heard people, literally. I mean, I've heard people, and we all know this, but I know people personally that have made great song, like really, really amazing music with nothing, you know, with nothing, like with things like Sony Acid or back in the 90s, in my day, back when I started in the 90s, they called it Fruity Loops, late 90s, you know, Fruity Loops and FL Studio now, you know. And I remember working with guys and I thought they were using an MPC. I swore they were using an MPC. I remember telling my wife, like, I swear they're using an MPC when they send me their files. I'm like, what are you using? What are you using to make this? And they're like, whatever I just said it was called, Fruity Loops, you know, FL Studio. People get mad at me when I call it Fruity Loops, but they send me like a picture of it or something, you know, and I'm like, man, that looks crazy, you know. I'm like, it's like a full-on thing now. I'm like, look at that, it's amazing, you know. So it doesn't matter really the gear that you're using, you know. You know, you accumulate gear because it helps you with your own workflow. Let's see what Troy. I feel like workflow is definitely the biggest thing that makes everyone choose one over the other, big time. Pro Tools has great audio editing capabilities, but Logic is right behind. Yeah, I mean, Logic is definitely coming up, and I mean, Logic goes out on every Mac, right? I mean, it's there, so it's everywhere. They were geniuses with that. But let's see, Ableton, where were we here? Talked about the project. Okay, so once you download those loops, and you open Ableton, go back in here. When you open Ableton, remember it's going to open in this window. What do you got to hit? Somebody put it in the chat. So I know somebody remembers. You got to hit a button to get it back into this normal window. Tab. Thank you. Good job. Tab, 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 tab. Everybody's hitting it. Good. Nice. Yeah. So hit tab and it goes back into this main window. Now, if you have loops that you want to put in a folder over here, so you can have quick access to, like I have my downloads folder here and I have sample folders, but they're on external drives, so they're not here right now. Oops. So what you can do is have your sounds in a folder, or the samples that you're downloading from the Pad Pushers website, you put those somewhere in a folder, wherever you'd like them on your drive or your external drive, and you come over here and you hit add folder. And then it pops this stuff up, and then you can, you know, pick whatever you want, wherever you want it to link where all your sounds are, and boom, it pops right up here, and all your sounds will populate in this window. Okay. So just quick, I'll try to do a quick rundown of this. I'm gonna move some windows here. Oh, I'll just try to get around it. Up here is our tempo, is our BPM, right up in this area. That's 120. It's sitting at 120 right now. We can turn that up or down, of course, however much we want. Link, you don't have to worry about. tap, that's just tap if you need to tap the BPM in, so you don't have to worry about that too much. And these two little dots here, you can click that and it turns yellow. That's our metronome. And you can click the down arrow and do all kinds of different, you know, settings with it, enable only when recording, and, you know, different things like that. You can just click on that on and off. It's pretty much our pre-roll. Like before we record, you want 1 bar, you want a half a bar, or whatever the case is. Sorry, I have to pull the screen down just this much so I can see. Okay. We have our transport up here. This is play, stop, and record. These little shapes. This is, and if you hover over things as well, oh, the zoom. So if you hover over things, see I'm hovering over this, and I don't want to move my mouse, but if you take your eyes and you look down at the left-hand corner, hopefully it's not too small for you guys, all the way at the left-hand corner, you'll see like these words appear. And when I hover over stuff like this, it's telling me when enabled, existing notes and MIDI clips in the arrangement will be mixed rather than replaced. So if I want to overdub my MIDI, I can hit that and it'll overdub and not record over my old MIDI. So if I need to go and add, you know, a note or whatever the case is, then I can do it that way, just by hitting that. Some of these things, just different arming for, this will arm your automation. So it'll be essentially reading or not reading your automation. These things we don't really have to go over right now. There's a session record button, but I'll talk about that another day. The only other one I want to show you guys tonight is this one, and that's loop. You turn that on, and if you look in my timeline here, you see that kind of that little bar up here, these bars here. And what I can do is take everything at the top. Now watch how my cursor changes from the mouse to a magnifying glass. In this little area here, Ableton can quickly zoom. If I take it down here, I can make that top area bigger so I can see the whole sequence of the song. You know, I'll be able to see my entire song up here. Let's see, and I can set my loop, you know, of course, to be as long as I want. A lot of times if I'm doing something, you know, off an instrument or something like that, I'll set it for a few minutes and go from there. But we can set that loop and keep that activated. So then when we hit play or record, you know, it's just going to keep looping that area over and over again. You guys know what loop does. It's pretty basic stuff. Now, let's see. I'm going to move my chat window just for a second. So if you guys have, if somebody posts a question, if I don't get back to you, just hold on a second. So if you come over here, a whole bunch of different little things over here. Very first thing up here is a search window. Now I overlooked this search window for years and years somehow. I don't know how I did it, but one day I found it and it was amazing because I just was like, I need a 808 in this folder. See, I don't have my samples folder in, but if I needed an 808 or whatever, a Rhodes in A minor, I could type that in literally. And if I have my sounds listed that way, it would pop up. It would pop up in there. So that search window is going to help you quite a bit. It'll search everything, plugins and everything. So if I type in delay and I go to plugins, you know, there's my delay, my audio units. It's just showing only my delays, you know, and I can just click out of that real quick and get out of there. So that's a cool window. Let's see. This one, musical notes, sounds. These are just different categories. So these are essentially, this is essentially all the sounds that are coming with Ableton Live right now, with Ableton 10. And when you click on these, they say ADG or ADV. These are just different types of files. Yeah, Frank, I think you got to get some sounds in there first, though. Are you looking at, do you have like you have everything downloaded? And did you add the folder like I did there? Okay. Yes, yep, right on the left. Okay, well, we'll take a look at that in just 1 minute. We'll take a look at that. Have to figure that one out. But if you click on these files, you can listen to them. And these ADV and ADG files, they're not audio files, they're all MIDI files. Most of these are going to be MIDI files. You got to look at the some weird sounds, but these are all annoying. I don't want to even hear them to play them. That one's not so bad. So you can take these and just double click them. Sorry, moving zoom windows, and it'll pop up. There's my track right there. All right, and there's my strings. This is the MIDI strings. So I just loaded that there. Let me see another way you can do that. Let me delete this. Another way you can do it is just click it and drag it to whatever MIDI track you want and let it go. Here's this sound, whatever it is. Good stuff. So yeah, that's how you do that. And if you want to record or you want to hear something, you have to hit this red button right here. That's on the MIDI, all right? And I'm playing this right on my Mac. I don't even have my controller hooked up or anything right now. So what I'm doing is, if you guys look right up here, there's like it's a tiny little keyboard icon, little picture of a keyboard. And if you click that and turn it on and make it yellow, your typing keyboard, when your MIDI track is activated, will work as a MIDI controller. So there are good sounds in here. I was just picking weird stuff. Yeah, that's all. I'm just touching my keyboard. So let's see. So we have sounds. We have a bunch of different sounds. It just goes on and on. Ambient, bass, whatever you're looking for. The next one is drums. In drums, these are all MIDI files as well. Now what these are, a lot of these, I helped do a little bit of sounds for Ableton 10 with the company. So I know a little bit of backstory on some of these sounds, but these are all, a lot of the drums that sound real are real, and all the things sampled are from the actual instruments. You know, it's not like the the recycled kind of a thing over and over. But these are all one shots. So I'll just double click one. And it's going to open it on that track. Sorry, man, this Zoom is cool, but I got so many windows open right now. All right, so I have my track selected. I have my record and arm, but I can't hear anything. I'm like, man, what's going on? What's going on? I hate this software. Clicking this up here, what I have to do is hit Z or X to toggle up or down in the octave. Z or X, you can do that just from your keyboard. And this is called the drum rack. These things, see these little squares, of course, these are very reminiscent to like a machine or an MPC. So I gravitated towards this once they implemented it right away. So essentially what this is oh, sorry, Frank. I'm in the very second one, drums. Very second one down underneath sounds, drums. And I think the kit I'm looking at is called All Falls Up, I think. All Falls Up, yeah, sorry. All Falls Up. So once we get in here, these are like one-shot samples. And if you've seen the Ableton Push controller, you know that's essentially what this is built for, where the MPC holds 16 samples and it has multiple banks, right? Banks A through whatever, just like the machine does. Ableton with the Push has all 64 pads right there. So you could essentially load up 64 samples on one MIDI track and go for it, you know? So literally I'm just hitting A and S. So it's pretty cool. It's handy, you know, if you're hanging out or, you know, you don't have a lot of time to sit, and that's me. I don't have a lot of time to just sit down a lot. So I get something going on my gear and save it, and I can, you know, sit down and kind of make something up for it. So we got drums there. Now, how do we record these drums or these MIDI files? Let's see. Move some more windows. All right, I can't move the window for some reason, so to go. There we go. Sorry, I moved one window under another one. All right, so I want to turn on my metronome. I'll lower the BPM a little bit. And hit here. Sorry, so many windows. Got to make sure that track is record enabled. If not, you're not going to hear anything. Right? There we go. Cool. So there's my little drums. Turn off the metronome because it's louder than the drums. Put my loop on. I think you might be able to hear this. It's not the best performance ever, right? So I could double click on this MIDI. I double click on it, it opens up down here. And I can click and see my cursor changing here, changes to the hand. So I can move, scrub things around in the timeline here, but there's nothing down there right now. Or I can click and drag this window up. And that's kind of what I want to do for right now. So from here, we have all the sounds that are within this kit, all on the keyboard roll. Like we've seen this stuff before, right? The keyboard roll. So there's a little tiny icon up here. It looks like a tiny little pair of headphones. If you can, if you're following along with me, then you can click that. If not, just remember you can click it, and then you can preview. You can preview the sounds down here. You know. Keep it there. All right. So, okay. Close hi-hat. There we go. So we can kind of go through and place our hi-hats in if we want. Now I can double click like that to add a note. And then I can, down here, got my window turned, pull down. Down here is the velocity of the MIDI. Okay. You can, see it or not see it. You can also change the velocity by just putting your cursor on the MIDI note and pressing the, the command button, the Apple button. And you can see I'm just kind of moving my finger on the, I don't know what the map, I don't know, this trackpad of the laptop. So just kind of getting my, how you want, you can quickly lay them out, get a couple different hi-hats in here. And then it kind of, see how I click that hi-hat and it put it at the same, relatively to the same level as the last one. It kind of, it gets smart. It's very intuitive. I like to change them a little bit here and there. It's always good to, you don't want that, the whole time. That's not fun after listening to it for a while. So we can put that here. Okay. Oh, I forgot some. I'm gonna take these real quick and I can just paste them in there. Cheat, I'll put another one there and make it interesting. And to paste these here, I'm just placing my cursor down. I'm just clicking my cursor and I'm literally, I hit Command C, Command V, Command V, Command V. So it's got a little bit of, it's still off a little bit because I'm just placing notes. I don't like the grid too much. I mean, the grid in Ableton is fine, but just in general, I try not to use the grid too much. So you could place these in here. And like I said, you got to go through and pay some attention to the notes so they're not all hitting at the same level. But another thing you can do, if you want everything super tight, depending on the type of music that you're making, you need everything on point. And what you can do is hit Command A in this window. And that's going to select everything. I'm going to show you a window, but I'll show you the shortcut as well. Once you select everything, or anytime in this window, you can just hit Control. The little note thing appears, and then click. Let's see. No, Frank, because you might not have these ones downloaded. I just kind of picked one out of the thing real quick. Yeah, but I'll show you guys where you can get some more. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Oh yeah, so you could click Control, and then click right here, click in here, and there's quantize. There's different quantize settings. You can extract a groove. That's another great thing that Ableton can do, that Ableton did a long time before a lot of other companies did, actually. Ableton was doing a lot of cool stuff, but a whole bunch of different things. There's our grid settings, you know, all types of stuff. So I'll pick 16ths, and I'm going to hit Command A. Control, click, and Command U will quantize. Boop. Yeah, so there we go. A little drum loop. It's a hit. It's a hit. So just within here, let's go into, I'm going to go into instruments. And I'll go to, where should I go? Where's it at? Electric. Okay. Go into electric. And under piano and keys, these are more my realm of sound. These are more of the electric keys and different things like that. Some are notes, some are chords. So, old school is the one I like, I think. I'll put that old school Rhodes right on that MIDI track. Hasn't done anything yet. Okay, so I'm real low in the octave, so I have to click X a couple times. Real dry. Cool, so Ableton has a really cool tool. I want to show you guys one more thing. Ableton has a really cool tool. If you look down here, these are all the instruments. You can go through all the different instruments, right? The next tab or next thing down, the next section down is all of our audio effects. I'll show you this other thing once we get to it, but I don't want to miss any of these. And here, these are all the effects that are going to process audio, essentially. Another really cool thing with Ableton is, let's say, let's just say I do have something here recorded. Just for now, all right? I could take this echo. Let's do the echo. That's a pretty, and drag and drop it right on the track. With Ableton, the workflow a lot of times is so different. Not so different. It's so customized that So it's customized. See, that's why I don't like to put these back out. But it's so customizable almost that you can use the traditional, you know, sends and returns, or we can put it right on there and just play with the effects of it. Turn your filter on. It's cool because with the filter on here, this is our delay. This is probably your first plugin you're seeing in Ableton, and they're very smart. You can sync these, you can link these, your feedback. You can do tons of stuff here. You can turn on your filter, and this will filter just what's delaying only. So a lot of times, I mean, depending on what you're going for, yeah, it's a great feature. A lot of times you want to cut the low end out of your reverb, you know, because the low end will muddy up your mix and the reverb, or sometimes in delay as well. So we need to, of course, the settings need to be played with a little bit, but repitch and ping pong. So that's an audio effect, all right? There's a bunch of them in here. The next one I want to show you guys is super cool. Is a MIDI effects. So of course there's arpeggiators. There's things that help you make chords. All right. MIDI effects, a bunch of different things in there that you can have. Note length. This is like, let's say you're inputting everything from or you know, kind of like I just did here with these drums, right? I quantized them. They're very tight, stiff. Everything's the same. If I wanted to, or like if you had a piano or you're doing something synthesized or whatever, you can change the note length. You can change all the note lengths to 16ths. You can take them all up 10 milliseconds, down 10 milliseconds. So there's a bunch of different MIDI shaping tools that you can use in here too. You can pitch MIDI up and down in Ableton, different randomizers and different things like that. But the one I want you guys to check out real quick is scale. Scale. Scale is exactly what you think it is, right? With your theory classes, with all the, oh, I lost my chat window. Oh, somebody's trying to talk to me, my bad. Okay, there it goes. All right. These are all the scales, not all the scales. I mean, who knows all these scales? Somebody. But you guys we're learning some of these scales, right? So let's just say, I think I played that as a C minor. Right? Listen to this though. I'm gonna put C minor on there. Is that loud enough to anybody heard that through these speakers? What it did is it took my major chord and turned it into a minor chord. You know what else I can do with this? Is there's this bass down here. It's not low end bass. That's the bass of what, that's essentially the root. What root? So right now our root is C minor because this is the minor scale. I can put it up to F sharp minor if I felt like it. And it changed it. Now, watch this. I'm going to play randomly. I'm just going to play anything. I'm on the keyboard here. Never mind, I messed that all up with that delay. That delay took me by surprise. Look, I was about to blame somebody. Who put that delay up to 70 something? Doing the dad thing. Who put that there? Knowing it was me. There we go. All right, so let's record. I don't know. Driving me nuts. So we got it. I'll tell you, I played 3 keys up and down. I couldn't tell you what they were. A, D, and G, and H, and K. Something else. I don't know what the other one, I forgot what the other one was. But that was just from and that's just from this scale. That's an F sharp minor. So let's say you're working with a musician. Let's say a singer, right? Singers are the ones mostly for this, because professional singers sing in many different keys, right? We know that. But sometimes we work with people that only are good in certain keys, and that's fine too, because, you know, they have a debit card and we want to collect, right? So I can say, okay, no problem. You don't like F minor? Oh, what's your best key? Is C sharp? There you go. There's your C sharp, you know, or D. It's fixed that quick. And if I had anything else, like a bass line or anything else in MIDI right here, it would do the same thing to that. So that's a cool tool. And I, you know, the first time I used this, I've seen that Ableton had this, and I never really used it, because I thought it would mess me up in learning keys and learning chords and things like that. I said, man, this is really going to mess me up. But it didn't mess me up. What it actually did, yeah, exactly. Yep. But what it did was it helped over the years train my ears, because what I started doing with it, I started using it for sound for film, because I would write. I did a movie about a girl that she could kind of, I didn't do the movie. I did the sound design for the movie of a girl. She fell and like had a head injury, and she could see like her grandfather that had passed away. He was like coming to see her or whatever. And the director told me, he says, just like this, he says, all right, I want the sound of heaven, but not the typical sound of heaven, not the typical sound. So in my mind, I said, okay, that's not a big deal. Cool. I can do that, you know, kind of cocky in my head. But then later I started thinking about it, because, you know, when we take on projects, you know, and not like we got to be, you know, artsy smartsy or whatever, artsy fartsy, whatever. But, you know, I try to like think of like really think about, okay, what is this? What am I going to do here? Because by the time I sit down at my gear, at my synthesizers or whatever, my instruments, whatever I'm going to use to make this sound of heaven for this scene or these different scenes, then the pressure's on. It's like, okay, so actually, what am I doing here? Okay, I'm making the sound of heaven. And then that the weight of that for the people that are going to be watching the film kind of comes on to me a little bit. So I'm thinking, okay, so I need to do something convincing for this crowd. I need to, I want to do a great job, you know? So what and another thing, the director told me, he says, there's a group called Train. I think that's the name of the group, a group named Train. They sang a song back a while back called Soul Sister, I think. And kind of like a rock song or something. But it was a cool song. But that band was doing the score for the film, and I said, "Oh my gosh, like these guys are like a big band, you know?" And I started thinking about it. Well, I'm doing synthesized type of sound design. They're going to be doing the score for the scene. Musically, what if these two things don't match? And I kind of started freaking out a little bit. And I emailed my concerns to the director, and he says, "I don't know. I'm not going to ask them to what they're doing or whatever for you, pretty much." And I was like, "Dang," because he was just so happy that the band was coming on board. It was a small, like a Lifetime, not a Lifetime, but a Hallmark film, and he was so happy that they were coming on board. So what I did is I said, "You know what? Ableton has this tool. I'd used it before." And I went through and I did my sound design and I sent it to them. I sent it to the editor in all 12 keys major. I went crazy. I even did the sharps and stuff. I went for broke, and I sent them every key. I put them in different folders, and I said, whatever the band does, whatever sounds the best with these files. I gave you every musical key of the same sounds. So they really like that. And then after that, they started calling, I got picked up for more jobs and different things like that. So there's a lot more tools that this can be used for other than music. Initially, a lot of the stuff that I learned about Ableton as I was either setting up, setting up a show or um, doing sound design, doing something different than music. Because in music you kind of get your workflow in music, but then you kind of get into a different, you have a different workflow possibly for editing dialogue or editing guitar or maybe another kind of specialty thing that you're into. We might have two different workflows for those types of things. So when I use this, when I use Ableton, every time I use Ableton in a different way, it opens up new ways for me to engage it musically. And every single person that I've ever met that's used Ableton Live is using it in a different way and in a way that I can obtain knowledge from, which is really cool. And on that note, it's been over an hour, and I apologize for going over the hour, but I really, really appreciate you guys showing up tonight. It's a huge class. I'm gonna like screenshot this or something. It's insane. I'm not gonna screenshot it because it's got everybody's name, but I'll definitely relay it to the rest of my fellow instructors tomorrow. I had a big class, so haha, that's funny. Cool. No, I really appreciate it, and if you guys have any problems, please reach out and let me know. I'm going to try to do these at least once a week. And if you guys have any other questions or you guys need some time with me like this, I got some time. We'll definitely do it. All right. Okay. Cool. Yes, Frank. Yes, I will be archiving it. I'll archive this. I'll archive this one. Yeah, I think I was. Yes, I did record it.